Hello, this is Mr. McMurray, and I know it's hard to believe that Mr. McMurray could have messed up, but yes, Mr. McMurray did mess up. And I believe the top skull is still the same as what we went over in the first video, but the bottom skull is hopefully a much better picture where it's clearer and you can tell where the different parts are, but we will see how well that works. Okay, so just to go back through the top, I'm just going to pop up the answers. Boom, 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 boom. Carotid, jugular, parietal, occipital, and occipital condyle, and foramen magnum. Okay, I think that was all pretty much the same. Now, this one should match up closer to your picture that you actually have now. All right, so first of all, the lines are the sutures we talked about on the other one, and the frontal bone is the big. Could have had a V8, the front bone here. Notice the frontal is also the top half of the eye socket. The same bone here goes down here, and that is the eye socket. All right. Then the nasal bone in the middle, one on each side of the nose. All right. Then we go to the parietal bone. Put that up there out of the way. Okay. Parietal bone, which is on the side, of course, and there would be another one on this side. All right, and then the optic canal. Now, the optic canal is this hole in the back of the eye, okay, and this is where the nerve from your eyeball goes to your brain, from the eyeball to the brain to connect it. So the optic canal allows the optic nerve to go through there. The sphenoid is in the back of the eye socket, so this bigger bone on the back of the eye socket is going to be the sphenoid bone. All right. The lacrimal is this first one. You have the nasal, then you have the maxilla, because that's part of the maxilla that comes all the way up here, and then you have the lacrimal. Lacrimal is the first one on the inside of your eye socket. It has a little opening in it, which is called the lacrimal duct, and this is where your tear ducts come from, down there. And the back again, you have your sphenoid bone, temporal bone on the side here, and then the zygomatic bone on the corner here. And then behind it would be the zygomatic arch or process, which is part of the temporal bone. And the vomer. Now, the vomer, we have a problem here. This should go down to this little bone right here. So if you will change that on your test, dun, 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 my fever, coasting through this with your eyes closed, wake up, draw the line from the vomer. So this top line, it should go down here at this bottom. The vomer, if you remember, was on the roof of your mouth, kind of, and it sticks up on the nose part here. So this bottom dot right there would be the vomer. This one, this labeled vomer, should actually be the ethmoid bone. It's part of the ethmoid bone, which, remember, the ethmoid is kind of right here on the skull, and here, and it has a part that comes down here, and it's this long part right there. Okay, so the vomer needs to be moved down to here, and the one that's called the vomer needs to be called the ethmoid bone. All right, maxilla is this bone here, but also all the bone down here, and then it curls around on the inside of your roof of your mouth. Notice all your teeth are in the maxilla, are embedded into the maxilla. All right, and then down here, of course, the lower jaw is the mandible. All right, and then we have the ethmoid, which is, remember, the lacrimal is the first one, and the second one is the ethmoid. All right, and I think that is all the bones, and those should match up much better with your drawing, hopefully this time. All right, last thing is going to be the back side of the skull, or side view. So let's look at that. Suture again this is the suture. All right, parietal bone's the wall or the side of the brain cage. Temporal bone is on this down here on the temple of our head. We say it's your temples. If you rub your temples, you're rubbing that area there. The occipital bone is at the back. It's where the spinal cord comes in. Another suture here. We're not going to worry about the names of them, but just know it's suture. External acoustic meatus. External just means the outside. Acoustic, or it could be the word auditory, whichever you prefer. Acoustic or auditory, which has to do with ear or sound, and then the meatus just means the hole. So basically, this is the outer ear hole is what it really amounts to, and it is where your ear attaches. Your eardrum.
Logan Eggleston, please come to the office. Logan Eggleston, please come to the office.
There we go. All right. Your eardrum would be somewhere near the surface here, probably somewhere about that. I don't know if it's on the outside of the hole or on the inside, but probably about there. Okay, and that's the external ear hole. And then we have back here, still part of the temporal bone, is the mastoid process. We said you can feel that at the back of your neck where the bone, the big muscle comes up and hits your skull. You can feel that hard part there. That's the mastoid process, and it's a place where you can attach all these neck muscles that help hold your head up and stuff like that. Then we have the styloid, a stylus. We see styluses for your tablet and stuff that you poke it. Originally, stylus was when they had clay tablets and they would scratch. The stylus would be the little pointy thing that they would use to make their letters and stuff on the clay, and then it would harden, and they would bake it, and it would be a hard rock-like thing. But the stylus is what they used to make the marks into the clay while it was still soft. All right, mandible is right here, lower jaw again. Technically, this is a mental foramen, I think it's called. But yeah, just a hole here where muscles and bone, or excuse me, where nerves and blood vessels can come to the lower jaw and lips there and give stuff there. Maxilla is on the top jaw, of course, all this here. All right. The zygomatic bone is this actual bone here. Notice it has its own boundaries and sutures, so it's actually a separate bone. That's the zygomatic bone, as opposed to the zygomatic arch, which is this bone, which is actually part of the temporal bone, because it's all the temporal bone. And so it's the zygomatic process or zygomatic arch that sticks off of the as part of the temporal bone. Then come back over here, nasal bone there. All right. Then you have your lacrimal is the first bone on the inside of the eye. Then you have your ethmoid, which is the second bone on the inside side of the eye socket there, and that's good there. And then you have your sphenoid bone, which comes up the side here and then wraps underneath the skull. And you have your frontal bone, which is up at the top. All right. And I think that's about it, all of those. All right. We will have a test on Friday over these 3 pictures of the skull, so make sure you know those. Like I said, make sure you corrected the things we corrected on the second drawing. The first video had a different picture, and so anyhow, this one should match up better. All right, that's it for today. Answer your questions and turn in your assignment, and you're done.